Hello, I am Sonya Madison,
And I'm Jonathan Mason.
and welcome to Law Unfiltered, where we talk about current events, some of the legal implications. And this past week was really been in the news a lot, other than the general politics that's always in the news. But as it relates to the campaign trail, it's Hillary Clinton's health issues, or lack thereof, just depending on what perspective you're looking at it. And she recently collapsed or fainted at an event in 9/11, and so then everybody demanded to know what is her actual medical conditions, as well as when they released a statement saying, it's just overheated, people just felt like that wasn't good enough. And for me, I guess I'm likening it to, listen, we as a country have decided that if someone is disabled, we're not going to use their disability to determine whether they're unfit or not qualified to do a job. And in this instance, she had her doctor, or I mean, not she had her doctor, but her doctor did release a statement saying that she was fit to do the position. So I don't get why we as a country, or we as people, or we as voters feel like we have a right to know her full medical history.
Well, I'm not sure that people say they have the right to know, think they have the right to know her full medical history, but I do think that people have the right to know what's going on with her currently. And also, aside from the medical issue, it seemed like it was more of the same shenanigans from Clinton that people criticize her about. People criticize her for being, untrustworthy, not truthful, those type of characteristics. And this just, for some people, fit right into that same pattern. My personal belief is that if people hadn't seen her stumble on that video, they would have never came out with the announcement that she had pneumonia.
Which would have been fine, right? We need to know she has pneumonia.
Well, some people would say, well, maybe we do. We need to go know what's going on with these presidential campaigns. I mean, I think I can draw a line between something that is a condition that is relatively, I would view as, temporary and wouldn't affect her ability to lead the country. But what if that was a more serious ailment, a life-threatening condition, or a condition that affected her cognitive ability? You don't think that people have a right to would have a right to know that? Well,
I think that's what her doctor is there for. I mean, me as a voter, or other people who are not medical professionals, saying someone has a condition doesn't necessarily translate to, well, this means that they can't do the job. That's what we have the medical professionals there to be able to interpret whether or not someone is fit for that position. So in this instance, if her medical doctor says she's fit to do the job, I don't need to know what the condition is, or I don't need to be broken down to, well, this is pneumonia and this is how it may affect your immune system, or how it may affect whatever cognitive skills. That's what her doctor is there for.
Okay, but if her doctor releases a statement and then the next day you see her, stumble, and they release a statement that says she's overheated.
The campaign releasing the statement, saying.
Okay, I understand that, but I think that raises a legitimate question for people to want to know, hey, what's going on with her? And it was the fact that the campaign, decided, okay, well, we're going to say she, overheated, which may or may not, maybe that was it. Maybe they attributed it to that, but they knew that there was more to it, that she had pneumonia. She had already been diagnosed with that. So when you come out with that later, it just looks like you're trying to, hide something. Maybe they say, you know what, it's her health. People don't need to know. Whatever it is, but it just fits into what people think of her. But I don't understand how you brought in the American with Disabilities Act in this. I mean, it's like that's a law that applies to employers, right. Public accommodations,
as well as employment. And again, I bring it in because this is obviously a democratic country. Us as a country voted to say we should not discriminate against people in employment based on a disability. We need to look at, are they qualified to do the job? And that should be it. If they need an accommodation, then that's fine, as long as that accommodation allows them to do the job. I mean, you look at the history of presidents, she's not the first, she won't be the last that has had some type of pre-existing condition or medical history or something that could or could not be seen as life-threatening. But yet, we just need to focus on, is she qualified to do this position? If she's got her medical professional saying she's fit to do the job, in the employment setting, I don't advise employers to go then say, well, because you are employed by me, I then have the right, or I should be able to see your history so I can determine for myself if you're fit to do this position. No, there's.
I just don't see how you can liken this to someone in an employment situation. This is someone running for the most important office in our country and perhaps in the world. The ADA wasn't established for this particular circumstance.
It is established for this, because to me, yes, this is the most important position in the world, but it's still a position. It's still a job. And if she cannot do the job, it's not going to be because she has pneumonia. It's going to be because we as the voting
this isn't a job where you submit a resume. There's a panel of people who are going to decide who are going to get the job.
Really
this is a voter. This is like something that just is a fundamental American right to decide who you want.
But it's the same process. Someone is submitting their qualifications.
So are you saying that Hillary Clinton could sue the American people for discriminating against her? Just answer that question.
No, but what I am saying, because you don't seem to understand the tie here, what I am saying is what we decided to do as a people in terms of the American Disabilities Act, as well as for public accommodations in general under the same act, is to say we don't want to discriminate against people who are disabled. That's just the general rule. If you look at the whole purpose.
Well, tell me, how is Hillary Clinton disabled? How is she disabled?
Because we are then saying, oh, I need to know your history to determine if you're fit to do this job. You're basically going to use
how is she disabled?
Well, under the American Disabilities Act, they say anytime someone is limited in some type of substantially limited way, whether it's physical, whether it's mental, anything that may hinder your major life activity is considered a disability. And these days,
and you think it's gotten to that point with her?
I don't think that she is, quote unquote, should be considered disabled. But in my mind, I don't think it matters. To me, honestly, these days, if you talk to a lot of employers, including myself, EEOC, people who interpret ADA, they don't even focus on what the disability is anymore. They focus on whether or not the employer or whether or not anyone is looking at this particular instance, this particular disease, this particular limiting condition, and making that condition the subject of whether or not someone should be employed in that position. They're not determining whether someone is quote unquote disabled. If there's a condition out there, they're like, fine, you meet the test. Now let's look at whether or not you've been discriminated against.
Yeah, I don't know. I just disagree with looking at it under that view. I mean, I can understand you saying, okay, it's a privacy issue and people don't have the right to know what her medical records say.
But it sounds like you're saying we have a right by virtue of the fact that we're putting in her.
I do believe that.
And that's when I'm
I do believe that. I believe that when you.
Professional.
But okay, so
we've had presidents in the past who've had more serious conditions and still were
and
able
that's
to
fine.
do the job.
That's fine. And people could say, you know what, someone's running for president, they have polio or whatever they have. That's fine. We still believe that person can do the job. We like that person. They've done well, up to this point. Yeah, we want to vote for them. But I think people have the right to take that into consideration
when it came to FDR. Probably a lot of them didn't even know he had it.
Okay,
it wasn't. I'm just saying, let's not focus on this condition. Let's focus on, can she do the job? I agree with you when it comes to trustworthiness. If that's the issue for you, is that, well, listen, I just don't trust you because it just seems like a pattern of you always hiding something. Then okay, let's talk about the trust thing. Let's not talk about, oh, is pneumonia going to hinder you? I just don't think that's relevant.
And I'm not even saying that myself. I'm just saying, as a voter, I have the right to know if she has. To me, pneumonia is a non-issue. I would not vote for her because she announced that she had pneumonia.
But you need her. But you need her current medical condition in general.
I don't need her current medical condition, but I need. No, I'm not saying that. I do. I'd have a right to know if a doctor says she's been through a physical exam, her health is fine, she can do the job of president.
We agree.
Then that's enough for them.
Yeah,
but I'm saying at the same time, if they say she has early onset dementia, are you saying that the people shouldn't know that?
I'm saying if the doctor is saying she's unfit to do this job, then people need to know her doctor is saying she's unfit to do this position.
Okay, well, what if she's fit now, but in 2 years, she may not be fit?
Then
Because of
we need to
advancement
know.
of her.
If she, like you said, this is the most powerful position, in the world. If she cannot do the job, yes, we need to know. I don't need to know why you can't do it. I don't need to know your specific condition. I just need to know whether you can do the job.
Well, in the end, I don't know that we're disagreeing, but I think you just threw me off with that ADA talk. I thought it sounded crazy to me. But.
Well, I mean, but maybe you as listeners, let me know if you don't understand it. But in my mind, I'm just saying we've established as a mantra in this country that we're not going to discriminate against people, and we're definitely not going to use conditions to determine whether someone's qualified to do the job. We need to just listen, are you qualified to do the job?
Well, hopefully, she's already been back out, and she came out to James Brown, I Feel Good, which personally I wouldn't have done that. It seemed kind of silly.
Yeah,
and like
draw more attention
it's just like, okay, see, look at me, I'm fine now. I feel good. I mean, I don't know. It seemed almost Trump-like.
Well, I definitely didn't like Trump coming out saying, well, let me talk about me being overweight and high cholesterol and all this kind of stuff. Because then it's still like, listen, I don't care. Are you fit to do the job? And by other things that you may or may not say, I will determine. but
and one of the reasons why this is an issue, not that age is a problem when you're running for office, but these are the two oldest candidates collectively to run for president. So not that age equates with bad health, but that's one of the reasons why people are probably bringing this up. So anyway, hopefully all this health stuff will be a non-issue, and we can just vote on the merits.
We'll see. I mean, it may or may not come back up because never know. People just always look for stories sometimes. But let us know what you think. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we hope to catch you next time.
All right, take care.